Have you ever felt tired without knowing exactly why? Like you're carrying a weight that no one else can see? Like you're holding the world together with invisible strings wrapped around your soul? Have you ever felt that being nice, kind, understanding, always smiling, always polite, has somehow become a trap instead of a strength? Since childhood, you were taught that being good is the key, that kindness wins, that fairness is rewarded, that if you give your best, people will see it, appreciate it, return it. But what if I told you that this is a lie? Not just a mistake, but a carefully taught, socially reinforced illusion, a comfortable story designed to keep you tame, predictable, and easily controlled. How many times have you swallowed your anger just to keep the peace? How many times have you said yes while screaming no inside your chest? How many times have you been disrespected, overlooked, taken advantage of, and still smiled, nodding, whispering, "It's all good," while your soul slowly disappeared into silence? Listen closely. The world does not reward kindness. It rewards strategy. It rewards presence. It rewards power. You are not struggling because you are a bad person. You are struggling because you believed that being good was enough. And now, finally, something inside you is starting to question everything you were taught. You've been the nice guy, the understanding partner, the patient friend, the one who bends, who forgives, who waits. And now you're beginning to see it. The more you try to be accepted, the less you're respected. The more you give, the more they expect. The more you shrink yourself to fit, the more they forget you exist. And this is where Machiavelli enters, not as a villain, but as a mirror. He understood what few dare to say out loud, that morality without awareness is a trap. That being good for the sake of being good is not noble, it's naive. And naivety is punished, not rewarded. In this world, those who refuse to confront are seen as tools. Those who always yield are treated like background noise. You become furniture in the lives of others, useful, silent, replaceable. If you think kindness is protection, think again. You are not respected for being endlessly forgiving. You are tolerated. You are used. And when you are no longer convenient, you are discarded, without guilt, without explanation, without consequence. Why? Because you never taught the world to expect anything different. And until you do, nothing will change. Machiavelli never said to be cruel. He said to be real. He said that when forced to choose between being loved or being feared, choose fear, not because fear is better, but because love without power is fragile. People respect what they believe cannot be easily destroyed. And if you keep living to please, you will never be seen as powerful. Only pleasant, only soft, only safe to ignore. This isn't about becoming cruel. It's about waking up, about seeing that the world isn't fair. That rewards don't come to the kind, but to the strategic. That your silence is not virtue, it's invisibility. And that no one will stop using you until you stop offering yourself up. Do you still believe the world rewards good people? Look around you. Who commands attention? Who holds influence, space, respect? Is it the most compassionate, the most selfless, the most morally upright? Or is it the ones who know how to draw lines, say no, and own the room without asking permission? The truth is brutal. The world is not governed by kindness. It is governed by usefulness. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He didn't write The Prince to encourage cruelty. He wrote it to reveal the mechanics of power, stripped of illusion. And one of his harshest truths is this: being good is not enough. In fact, being good without strength is often the fastest way to be ignored, replaced, forgotten. You can spend years being loyal, helpful, self-sacrificing. You can give without asking, support without expecting. But the moment you are no longer useful, you will disappear from their minds without a trace of guilt. Because value in this world is not measured by your heart. It is measured by your presence, by the influence you carry, by what you dare to demand. Have you noticed that the kindest people are always explaining themselves, apologizing, trying to prove they deserve to exist? Meanwhile, the ones who speak clearly, who don't fear disapproval, who walk into a room like they belong, they are respected, not because they are better, but because they do not shrink, because they are not easy to manipulate. Kindness without boundaries is read as weakness. Silence is interpreted as consent. Constant agreement is mistaken for absence of identity. When you never oppose, you are not seen as peaceful. You are seen as powerless. And the world does not negotiate with the powerless. It takes from them, uses them, discards them. Machiavelli once said that a leader should, if necessary, choose to be feared rather than loved, because love is fragile, dependent on conditions. But fear, when rooted in respect, endures. And what he really meant was this: power is not found in how gentle you are, but in how much consequence people associate with crossing you. If there is no cost to hurting you, they will hurt you. Not out of evil, but out of human nature. And that is what most people refuse to accept. They live their lives trying to be lovable, trying to be good, trying to be seen as virtuous. But they forget that the world does not reward virtue without strength. If you do not have the capacity to impose consequence, your goodness will be used against you. And eventually, even you will begin to resent the person you've become. Because deep down you know, you were never meant to be a shadow. You were never meant to disappear in the name of peace. Your desire to be accepted, admired, appreciated, where did it come from? What wound taught you that approval is survival? That your voice only has value if it pleases others? That anger is shameful, and boundaries make you selfish? Because until you answer those questions, you'll keep offering yourself on a silver plate to those who only take. And they will keep taking. In the next chapter, we dive into the psychology behind this need, and why the nice person you've become may not be you at all. You weren't born trying to please everyone. You were conditioned to believe that pleasing was the price of love. From childhood, you were praised when you stayed quiet, when you smiled politely, when you sacrificed your needs to make others comfortable. Don't talk back. Be nice. Don't make a scene. You learned that being accepted meant being agreeable, that expressing discomfort made you difficult, that having boundaries made you bad, and so you adapted. You molded yourself into something digestible. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You forgave when you felt betrayed. You gave when you were already empty. You said yes when everything in you begged to say no. You called it kindness. They called it convenience. And without even realizing it, you became a version of yourself that was safer for others. But here's the truth. This is not kindness. This is fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of not being loved. Fear of being seen as selfish, dramatic, cold. Fear of stepping out of the role you were rewarded for playing. Because if you stop being the nice one, who will you be? You've confused fear with empathy. You've mistaken avoidance for peace. You've worn your kindness like armor, not to connect, but to protect yourself from the terror of being misunderstood. But this mask comes at a cost. It suffocates your truth. It numbs your instincts. It makes you smaller than you are. And the longer you wear it, the more it becomes fused to your skin, until one day you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person looking back. You've spent so much time being good, you've forgotten how to be whole. You silence your anger even when it's righteous. You offer second chances to people who don't deserve first ones. You allow guilt to dictate your choices. And all of it comes from a quiet belief planted long ago that love must be earned, and you must shape yourself into whatever others need to be worthy of it. But that belief is killing you. Because love that demands your erasure is not love. It's dependency, control, manipulation. And kindness that costs you your self-respect is not a virtue. It is a slow form of self-abandonment. So what do? You begin by unlearning, by seeing the lie for what it is, a survival tactic that kept you safe when you didn't know better. But you know better now. And now you must learn how to live without hiding behind politeness. Machiavelli understood this better than most. He knew that the image others see is more powerful than your true intentions. That people judge by what they feel, not by what you meant. And if your presence doesn't speak strength, you will be read as expendable, no matter how pure your heart is. In the next chapter, we'll uncover exactly what the prince can teach you about reclaiming your power, not by becoming cruel, but by becoming someone who can no longer be ignored. If you believe that being good will earn you respect, Machiavelli would beg you to look again. He warned over 5 centuries ago, the world does not reward goodness, it rewards effectiveness. And effectiveness requires more than purity. It requires strategy. It requires understanding that most people act not from appreciation of your virtue, but from pursuit of their own interests. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few feel what you really are." That single line unravels the entire illusion of moral superiority. Because no matter how genuine, kind, or loyal you are, people will only respond to what you project. If your presence speaks of hesitation, you will be walked over. If your energy screams self-doubt, you will be ignored. You might be the most well-intentioned person in the room, but if you appear weak, the world will treat you as such. And that's why Machiavelli didn't teach cruelty. He taught clarity. He said the prince must know how to use the nature of the animal well, to be both fox and lion. The fox sees the traps. The lion makes others fear setting them. One without the other is incomplete. Cunning without strength is manipulation. Strength without foresight is brutality. But both together, that is sovereignty. So ask yourself, are you only a fox, quietly navigating around everyone's expectations, hoping not to be seen too clearly? Or only a lion, swinging with raw emotion, unaware of how your power lands? Or are you still neither, still playing the good one, the peacemaker, the forgiver, hoping that being easy to love will be enough to keep you safe? Because if you are still trying to live in everyone's good graces, you are not living. You are managing perception. You are editing yourself into smaller and smaller versions, just to fit someone else's comfort zone. And here's the worst part. They still want to love you the way you want to be loved. Because they don't love you, they love what you do for them. And the day you stop doing it, they will show you just how replaceable you always were to them. That is not your failure. That is the price of playing small. True kindness is not submission. It is strength with direction. It is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to give and when to hold, when to walk away and never return. You don't need to become cruel to be free. You just need to stop begging for approval. Stop giving your best to those who only want to use it. Start respecting your time, your energy, your voice. Because if you don't, no one else will. In the next chapter, we'll confront the final choice, the one most people avoid their whole lives. Do you want to be loved by everyone? Or do you want to be free to be yourself without apology? Because you can't have both. And the sooner you choose, the sooner you begin to live. It's time to be brutally honest. How much longer will you keep sacrificing your voice, your dignity, your truth just to maintain an image that was never really yours? How many more times will you say yes when your entire being screams no, just to avoid upsetting someone who wouldn't think twice about upsetting you? You call it being kind, being good, but what it really is a cage. A polished, smiling, suffocating prison built from years of false praise and silent expectations. You are not being loved. You are being tolerated. You are not being respected. You are being managed. Because as long as you're willing to be used, there will always be someone willing to use you. And no one will ever come to save you. No one will stop and say, "Thank you for all your self-erasure. You may rest now." That moment never comes, because the world will keep feeding on your compliance for as long as you offer it. And what do you get in return? A sense of being needed? A few hollow compliments? Temporary peace at the cost of permanent resentment? What you call nobility is self-abandonment. What you call goodness is fear of your own strength. But there is a way out, and it starts the moment you realize that the only approval you ever needed was your own. You can reclaim your power, not by becoming cold, but by becoming real. By recognizing that being kind does not mean being available to everyone, all the time, at the cost of your soul. You don't have to betray your nature. You just have to stop betraying yourself. So what does it look like? It looks like saying no, without guilt, without apology. It looks like standing up, even if your voice shakes. It looks like disappointing others in order to finally honor yourself. It looks like speaking your truth, even when it makes the room uncomfortable. It looks like choosing silence when you are being provoked, and presence when you are being erased. It looks like letting go of people who only love the version of you that made them comfortable. You want to stop being nice? Then stop performing. Stop explaining. Stop shrinking. Start showing up as someone who no longer asks for permission to exist. Start valuing your peace over their approval, your standards over their expectations, your truth over their comfort. Because the world doesn't respect people who are always agreeable. It respects people who have limits. Who can say, "I care about you, but I care about me too"? Who can say, "I can be kind, but I won't be used"? Who can say, "I love deeply, but I'll walk away if I am not met"? That's not cruelty. That's clarity. That's emotional maturity. That's power. And that's what they never taught you, that your strength was never in being nice. It was in knowing exactly when not to be. So ask yourself, when was the last time you truly stood up for yourself? When was the last time you chose self-respect over being liked? That is where your life changes. That is where freedom begins. Not when you're loved by everyone, but when you finally love yourself enough to stop needing them to.